Hey, how's everyone doing? Welcome to the Flyin18T news update for today, Monday, July 22nd. And once again, found some things off the beaten path. I mean, obviously, the latest and greatest news that's out there that's going on is top stories are the release of the new C8 Corvette, which admittedly looks really nice. You know, a sub $60,000 performance car like that with aesthetics like that. I'm sure everyone has seen it by now. It's truly amazing. So congratulations to Corvette for the well-received responses on you know, the way the design and the release of the design has been received within the media, and all the C8 supporters, current owners, haven't really heard too much negative. So it seems like it's all good on their end. I'm really excited to see more specs released, but we're on the same boat. We all just got to wait and kind of see a little bit. I know you can configure the C8 Corvette on the Chevy site, so that's kind of fun, playing around with interior and exterior colors. But I know that's big in the news. Some of the stuff I'm touching on today, a little bit more off the mainstream, but let's get right into it. Don't want to take up too much time with the introduction. Just going to jump right in. Also on the screen on this side over here, we have the New Hampshire NASCAR Xfinity highlights from the other day. So good race. Hope everyone got to see it. There was definitely some good racing this past weekend. But just going to cover some news that I've come across that I think you're going to find interesting. Number one is a courtesy of the Goodwood Road Racing, Goodwood Road and Racing official YouTube channel, is a video that the Goodwood organizers did put together, and an event they put together at Goodwood celebrating the career of Michael Schumacher, from his early stages and the cars he drove, all the cars he drove leading up to his F1 career, and all the cars that he actually drove in his F1 career. Like I mentioned, it's a 30-minute video. Jean Todt is there, Ross Braun are there, they all speak. His wife, Corinne, is there. Everyone relevant to Michael Schumacher and Michael Schumacher's career were at Goodwood, and every single car he drove, including a lot of the mechanics and technicians that were attached to those very specific and particular cars. So incredibly awesome thing to witness. Very cool thing to see. You know, obviously not a lot of news has come out about Michael Schumacher's condition since his accident, but this was an unbelievable way to honor him and his career. So please check it out on YouTube at the Goodwood Road and Racing official YouTube channel. Once again, a 30-minute video, definitely worth watching every minute of. All right, so we're going to move forward on that. From there, this next video is from courtesy of the Fox Sports official YouTube channel. Fox Sports did an incredibly amazing job in putting this video together. This video is about a girl named McKenna Hass, who started off grassroots racing, became pretty successful on ovals, and at a very early age, and started like really snowballing with popularity. And you know, she was doing well, and then an accident hurt her pretty bad, but she recovered, and she recovered to a point, and this is one thing that they made clear, to the point as to whether or not she continued racing. But I think from what I extracted from the video, and I watched the entire video, which was amazing, is that during her journey as a racer, she came across and encountered families and kids who did not have the same opportunity as herself to get into racing for one reason or another. Could be monetary issue, could be family issues, could be just kids who were less fortunate. And she decided to take on the role of a mentor personally. She chose to personally mentor kids who were in unfortunate situations and give them an opportunity to race. She did that, and she started that, which is incredible to me, by building her, a car from scratch, and then finding a kid that she felt was worthy of it, and then working with this kid personally on a full-time basis to get him into racing. And the child that she worked with went on to become incredibly successful, winning a ton of races. And without giving too much away, and about the story of that child's background and family history and so on, McKenna's also a high school girl on a full schedule, valedictorian, graduated first of her class, goes on. I mean, this girl is probably, one of the most fascinating girls I've seen in sports in a long time. You just have to watch the video to appreciate the scope of effort that she puts into this and how it consumes her life, but because she wants it to consume her life. This is what she wants to do. And she, as the video goes on, it shows how she starts to mentor more and more kids, and she has a whole sort of organization, based around mentoring kids and improving kids' lives through racing and getting them into the sport from an early age and assisting them. I can't say enough about this video. It's once again Fox Sports. The official Fox Sports YouTube channel. Watch it. That's all I can say. Awesome. One of the most highly recommended videos I could say I could say go watch. Really, really impressive stuff. McKenna is definitely a godsend. She's definitely doing great things for a lot of people, and God bless her. She's great. Okay, we're gonna move forward. So, F1 drivers Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, they team up to win the iRacing 24 Hours of Spa. Is it a big story? I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. For those people that are in iRacing and you're sitting there in a race and all of a sudden, you have these two guys join a server, or if you're part of a race team, it's kind of cool to have two F1 drivers on the same server as you. But it was part of a joint entry between Team Redline and the Pure Racing team. They were joined in an Audi R8 LMS GT3 with sim racing veteran teammates Max Benecki and Max Wennick. So they pretty much dominated the race from when Max had pole position right up to about 15 minutes before the end of the race, where Max's the actual sim racing equipment he was using, the brakes failed. He limped back to the pits where he fell a lap down, but then Lando got in the car. I guess in that time they had fixed the issue, came back, and they won the race by about a 26 second margin, or 27 second margin, something like that. But kind of cool, very very fun to see. I enjoy watching iRacing. Sometimes I have it up on the alternate screen over here when there's a big race on. Um, it's it's just as exciting as watching any other form of racing. So I'm sure you can find. I didn't actually find a link to this particular race, but once again, 24 hours of Spa on iRacing. The iRacing YouTube channel has pretty much everything. So I'm sure if for a good watch, you could definitely go there for the content. Moving forward. Okay. This one, Lewis Hamilton, on the topic of he feels that you want to race, you want to have closer racing rather than harder racing, and that's what F1 needs. And I think when he says harder racing, he's referring to how hard it might be for the pilots themselves, as far as how they're working the car. So, the title goes on to say, Lewis feels F1 drivers are united on their demands from the 2021 rules shakeup. It says cars must be designed to encourage closer racing rather than making the cars harder to drive. He goes on to say that, the technical rules must be designed to encourage, that the closer racing should be designed to improve the sport. And, he went to the FIA World Motorsport Council meeting in Paris last month to oversee the 2021 proposals as a representative of the Grand Prix Drivers Association. And, I read these articles hoping for a bit more as to the specifics as to what they mean closer racing. Closer in the sense that cars are closer to each other as far as a battle is concerned, or closer in the sense that they want passing to be happening in turns where the tires and the wheels are almost touching. I need some clarity on that. I think that the DRS has done a good job to draw cars closer together. I'm still not getting a very good sense. And although, you hear drivers talk about it, sometimes they talk about it where it contradicts each other. Where they want this, but then they don't want that. Then the other one wants that, but they don't want this. So I'm still trying to get a sense of it. He goes on to say that he thinks that what's really important right now is that the drivers are unified for the first time since he's been in the sport. That's what Hamilton was quoted as saying at Silverstone. I think the drivers are unified as far as knowing that they do want a change. Exactly what that change is. It's good to hear that Lewis is weighing in and attending these meetings regarding the rule changes, and that the drivers are well represented by having him there. However, I still don't get a clear picture, a clear technical picture as to exactly what the changes are and exactly how they're going to play their role and how it's going to be reflected on track during a race. I'm not there yet. I think the article is relevant because of the fact that you have someone like Lewis being proactive in pursuing and seeing these changes through their due process. They're taking the due process from the birth of the idea through the massaging of the idea to the actual end execution of the idea. So it's good to see that he's on hand for that. I think the drivers are well represented by him. Let me see what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Next article. Moving forward, we have. Okay. I just wanted to touch on this one quickly. This article is courtesy of racefans.net. This is a follow-up to a blurb that I reviewed maybe about a week ago, where Jean Todt proposed that we bring refueling back to F1. This article is about Toto Wolff, the Mercedes team principal, being quoted as saying we should have no holy cows about it. You know, he's coming from the standpoint, and I think it's a little bit more of a very politically correct answer he's giving. That, you know, he says, let me quote him. He says, we should look at every single regulation and say, does it work or doesn't it work for us? And goes on to say, refueling certainly provides entertainment, provides another unpredictability factor in terms of something could happen. It makes the cars much lighter at the beginning of the race, so the drivers are able to push much harder. And then also says, and this is where I disagree a little bit, he says the downside is maybe the race is a bit more predictable because the strategy will be all the same for everybody. That's number one. And number two, we are trying to save costs, and this will increase the cost a tiny bit, so it's just maybe a philosophical rather than a real impact. Okay, listen, very politically correct answer. Toto Wolff is one of those guys that is maybe being groomed for taking over John Tote's position as head of the FIA. His name has been tossed around there. You know, there's some, you know, quiet rumors about something like that happening in the future. So he's not really going to pick a side. I think what he's going to do is be very down the middle about it and say, you know, let's wait and see, and we got to explore it. So his answer was very politically correct. What I don't understand is where he was quoted as saying that, let's see, the downside is maybe the race is a bit more predictable because the strategy will be all the same for everybody. Okay, now, I mentioned in one of the last news videos I did, that prior to 2010, when the ban on refueling went into place, the races consisted of everyone taking a different approach to refueling. So I don't know how everyone, if everyone wants the cars lighter, which is the whole reason why they're discussing this, because all the drivers are clamoring, we don't want these heavy cars that they're driving now because they're taking on the fuel load for the entire race, and the cars are like, you know, really heavy at the beginning of the race. They want light cars to race. That means everyone's going to be on a multi-stop strategy. If everyone's on a multi-stop strategy, that doesn't mean that they're going to be all lapping on the same, they're all going to be pitting on the same lap. Right? Everyone's going to be pitting at different windows based on track positions and amount of clear, you know, clear track in front of them that they can come out and as much clean air as they can get. And there's a whole lot to it. So I don't know who they're fooling by saying that it's going to be predictable and it's going to be fun. It wasn't like that prior to 2010. What would happen was everybody would be on a different strategy because there's also tire regulations also. If you must use this tire or that tire, whatever it is. So you would run, you know, there were people who would try to do a one-stop strategy and make it the whole way, and the car would run heavier, but they would run longer and avoid pitting and the time it would take for the pit lane delta, you know, time. Or, you know, Michael Schumacher was very big on doing multi-stop strategies because he was just flying. So he would fly on a lighter car, make up the time on the track, distance himself from everyone else, which gave him the time to pit, and even after he pitted, he'd still come out ahead of everybody else. So the problem, though, with all this is that when everybody is pitting, and here's the problem, when everybody is pitting, and when that first pit window opens up in a Formula One race, and this is prior to 2010, everyone starts shuffling because everyone's on a different pit strategy from the sense of they're pitting on different laps, right? So now, all of a sudden in the running order, as a viewer, as a fan, okay, everyone gets shuffled up. The first place guy drops to 10th, the second place guy drops to 12th, whatever, and then other guys on the track who haven't pitted yet, but it doesn't matter because they might be on a 3-stop strategy and that guy's on a 4-stop strategy, or maybe someone's on a 2-stop strategy. Everyone was on a different strategy. So I'm not sure what Toto Wolff was referring to here because that's not what I saw as a fan. Because it's not what happened. And I remember it clearly. So what happened was because no one knew the strategy of all the teams, you didn't know if they were really going to go for a 2-stop, 3-stop, or 4-stop until it actually happened. So through the race, from the first pit window until the last pit window of the race, you basically had no idea who was winning the race. You have no idea. So from like lap 20 to, or from lap 15 to lap 50, and it's maybe a 65 lap race or whatever it is, no idea. No idea, because everyone's just shuffling through the order. But then that last window, maybe 10, 15 laps before the end of the race, if someone was on a 4-stop strategy, which Schumacher would do, is all of a sudden he come out of that last pit, window, and there he was, just magically, boop, right at the top of the list again. And then he'd go on to stay there and win the race. And he did that race after race after race. The strategists for Ferrari, when Michael Schumacher won his championships, were gods. The mechanics were gods, and he was a god at driving the car. And the car, it was just the perfect. It was just poetry in motion. It was beautiful. But that was Schumacher. But everyone else was on complete. Every team was on a completely different strategy. Every interview before a race prior to 2010, you'd ask that the commentators would always try to get a driver to trip up in a pre-race interview. Oh, what's the strategy for today? Oh, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It depends on this, depends on that. Everyone would be coy. Everyone would be sly. Everybody would be sneaky with their comments. No one knew anything. No one knew anything. And they did it on purpose. So every team was on a completely different strategy. So I disagree with Toto Wolff that it would be more predictable. It would definitely be less predictable. And it would go back to being more confusing for the viewer and the fan to be watching these races through the meat of the race. Through about 80% of what you're viewing in that race, you have no idea who's winning the race. You only know who's winning from the drop of the flag, or from when the green lights go on and the red lights go out, right? That you know who's winning for those right until the first person makes a pit stop, and then everything is out the window because everyone goes on a different pit strategy. And then when that last guy comes out of the pits at the end of the race, maybe 10 laps, 15 laps before the end of the race, then you know what's going on. In between, it's kind of fun, I guess, just watching people pass and here, but you don't know what it means in the grand scheme of things. The way it is right now, because of the use of tires and the need to pit less, it's more predictable. So it's more predictable now as a viewer to kind of feel out, okay, well, he hasn't pitted yet, but he's here. All right, he'll be there, and then they're done, and that's it. And you can kind of work it out in your head. You'll never work it out. Not once was I able to work it out in my head. Who was winning a race on lap 35 of 70, at Monza, whatever it was. It just, you'll never figure it out. Never. So, I disagree with him on that. Anyway, that's it for today. Once again, I highly recommend the two videos, the Michael Schumacher Festival of Speed celebration of his career at Goodwood, and I also highly recommend the the race about McKenna Hass. She is just a phenomenal person, courtesy of Fox Sports on their YouTube channel. Please, if anything else, the Schumacher video at Goodwood is really, really nice, but this one is really a good. It's a feel-good video. You're gonna really just you want to reach out through the screen and hug this girl for everything she does for people. She's amazing. All right. That's it. Thank you so much for jumping in. And any comments, obviously, you can join me on the Flyin18T Twitter. FLYIN, the number 1, the number 8, the letter T. Flyin18T on Twitter. Questions, comments, suggestions, throw me a message there. But also on YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, and Reddit. All right? Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.